Welcome back again to Joe Stunner Boxing. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, if you're new to the channel, subscribe please. Doesn't cost anything. You'd be helping me out a great deal. I'd really appreciate it. If you like this video, excuse me, just hit the like button. Like I say, any support that you can offer me is greatly appreciated. I'm trying to build the channel up, get a nice little boxing community going. Saul "CANELO" Alvarez stops Caleb Plant in the 11th round. Before the fight, my prediction was Canelo between the 7th and the 9th. Took a little bit longer. I suppose, in general, I thought Plant did a bit better than I thought he would do. The fight kind of went as I thought it would. But there were a couple of little cameos that made me hope that Plant would do better than he actually did. In the opening minute of the first round, Plant landed a jab to the head, and then he added a second jab. He doubled it up to the body, the solar plexus area of the stomach, and I was thinking, oh, that's interesting. You know, he's gonna vary that jab. In fact, he didn't. He then went back to jabbing to the head constantly, and almost all of those jabs were taken on the gloves by Canelo. There was no variety of the jab. I thought that was the jab was or could have been a vital weapon for Plant, but it proved not to be. He managed to keep Canelo off him for long periods of the fight, but there was he didn't vary it as I hoped he would, as it was suggested he would in that very early minute. Instead, they were sort of don't hit me jabs, you know. The other thing that I think Plant could have done more of, and suggested early on that he would do, but didn't, was body work. Because Plant, being the much taller man, people were expecting Canelo to go to his body, understandably, but Canelo's got a body too. So what if you're the taller man? You don't forget the body work. And in the third round, Plant landed I think a right hook to the body, which was, I thought, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. So if he'd varied the jab, head to body, and also worked the body more, I think he would have had more success. But the fight didn't go that way. Canelo was his usual self. In the early rounds, he someone said that he gathered information. I think one of the commentators said that. That's an interesting way of putting it, because he started very slowly, as he always does, having a look at you, seeing what you got, seeing if there's any patterns of style that you can exploit, that would come back to haunt Plant later on. And after 4 rounds, I think I had it 2 each in rounds. But then Canelo started to up the ante. Plant, I said this before in a previous video when I was doing my preview. Plant did what I don't think anyone should do with Canelo, which is that he just backed off. You know, not in straight lines necessarily, but he was jabbing to the head, no variety of the jab, but he backed away. And Canelo is very good at pressure fighting if you give him that chance. If you just back off, jabbing, moving, you know, you go to the ropes and you slide off the ropes, and Canelo's very good. If you're backing off, Canelo is very good at coming forward, at pressure fighting. I think, this is much easier said than done, Plant should have stayed in the zone more, lots of sidestepping, been a lot busier with his hands, and varied his work more. Again, head to body, body to head. He wasn't really doing that. He was backing off, firing don't hit me punches, not doing nearly enough body work, no variety of punches. It was more a case of, I'm going to try and pinch these rounds. So in other words, he was being he was being way too cautious, way too conservative. I'm not saying he should have been cavalier and just unloaded recklessly, but you've got to again, if you're going to beat someone of Canelo's stature, you've really got to gamble, take the bull by the horns, be proactive. Even if Caleb had lasted the distance, there was no way on earth that he was going to win the decision. This is Canelo we're talking about. And in the past, we've seen Canelo get some quite contentious decisions. So Caleb was way too reticent, way too cautious. At times, it almost looked like he was fighting scared. It didn't look like he was. It's almost like even when he had little pockets of success, it didn't look like he. It almost looked like he was surprised that he'd had success. In the ninth, for example, there was a little cameo where he did unload his punches, and Canelo actually sort of strolled away as if to reset. Oh, okay, you've hit me. He just strolled away. This was towards the end of the ninth, and Caleb allowed him to reset. He allowed him to get his position. It's almost like, hey, I had a little bit of success there. Okay, I'll wait for him to reset, and then I'll have another go. No. If you have success, you build on it. You immediately jump on him. And there was none of that from Caleb, the bigger man, or supposedly the bigger, stronger man. So, in a sense, I think Caleb's tactics, he had no inside game. That's another thing. You know, up close, Caleb was grabbing and holding more, trying to hang on. There was no hint of, well, okay, I'm right up close to you. Yes, I'm the bigger man, but I'm going to give it a bit of an inside go. Kind of like, you know, Holyfield versus Bo. Bo was an extremely tall, big man, but he was very good on his inside game. Was very, very good, especially, I mean, even against smaller men like Holyfield. There wasn't a hint of that type of tactic from Caleb, as if it never occurred to him that he should do any kind of inside fighting with Canelo. I mentioned earlier the way Canelo looks at patterns in opponents, how opponents behave. What they do under certain circumstances, in other words, under pressure. And with Caleb, the most obvious thing that he does is, if you get up close to him and you sting him, he'll lean to his right. He's an orthodox fighter, so he gets tapped, he leans in, but immediately sort of instinctively sways down to his right. And so it proved when the end came, because Canelo landed a great left hook, which kind of scrambled, buzzed Caleb. What did he do? Bent down to his right, and there was another punch waiting for him, which floored him. He got up, very, very rubber-legged. His legs were doing all sorts of dances on the ceiling, and Canelo chased him. Canelo, when he's got you hurt, he's a good finisher. Trapped Caleb on the ropes, unloaded, down goes Caleb, hurt badly. I think one of his legs was tangled on the ropes, and the referee immediately stops the fight. Maybe the ref could have given him, and I counted him, because Caleb wasn't unconscious. Within a second or two, he was conscious. Would he have gotten up? I don't know. If he had gotten up, the referee could have checked him and said, "Okay, you can fight on," or "No, I'm stopping it." But he stopped it straight away. And I always think, whenever a situation like that arises, I always think, would the referee have done the same thing if it was Canelo on the floor? It's not likely that Canelo would be on the floor, but let's just say Caleb caught him in the sweet spot, down went Canelo like that. Would the referee have waved off immediately? Early stoppage? I don't know. I don't think so, but it's a four-belt unification for all the marbles. Maybe you give the guy as many chances as possible. Would it have hurt letting him get up and checking him? I don't think so, but anyway, it didn't happen. Caleb was out. The fight was over, and Canelo is the undisputed super-middleweight champ. And yeah, I think I've mentioned before, I'm very sceptical of Eddie Reynoso's stable and illegal use of illegal substances. But, I suppose until it's proven, we have to go with what we see. But Caleb Plant, he could have done more, but I think this was just too big a leap. It was too big a quantum leap up to the level of Canelo. And sometimes, you win fights on experience, because you have the experience of having gone through the fire with other good fighters, and having learnt from actually fighting people who punch back and who give you problems and take you distances. Caleb's resume was it didn't have anyone on it anywhere close to Canelo. So when he got in, you are kind of experience-wise, you're learning on the job, and that's the wrong place to be to learn on the job. I think very often big fights like this are won prior to the fight, by building up a resume, by building up experience, by fighting the right people. And I don't think Caleb, along with Billy Joe Saunders, is another example. By the time they faced Canelo, they did not have enough experience to fight someone of that caliber. So yeah, but this is all ifs and ands, isn't it? I mean, Canelo won. He won fair and square. Caleb got a good payday. I think he got 10 million. Not bad, is it, for for 30 minutes work? Even though you are concussed. Afterwards, the fighters embraced, which was good to see. Mutual respect. Caleb very, very disappointed. He went straight back to the dressing room. Canelo was his usual Viva Mexico self in the ring. Where does he go from here? Does he go up to light heavyweight? I think Bivol. I think Canelo can beat Bivol. I'm not convinced about Beterbiev, but maybe. Beterbiev is getting old. Is he 38, 37, 38? Is he there for the taking? He was on the floor against Callum Johnson. Callum Johnson is no Canelo Alvarez. But Canelo he's short guy, isn't he? Can he do the weight legally, legitimately? He's already beaten a shop-worn Kovalev. 175, yeah, there were options there. Someone suggested that eventually Canelo would go up to cruiserweight. I don't understand that at all. I think he's way too small for cruiserweight. As good as he is, there are some killers at cruiserweight. But anyway, at the moment, we'll worry about all that stuff later. At the moment, he's the undisputed super-middleweight champion. Mexico's first, I think. And good luck to him, And commiserations to Caleb Plant. He can come again if he wants to. But he needs to fight more regularly, and he needs to fight better men and build himself up, get that experience. So anyway, what did you think of the fight? Leave your comments below. Yeah, thanks for listening. Like I say, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. Let me know your thoughts and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care now.